In today's video, we're going to take a look at how to create a smooth 3D camera in Adobe After Effects. Now, the first thing that you want to do is go ahead and get yourself a fresh new project, and we're going to import all of the materials into the timeline. Now, it's very important that all of your layers and videos, pictures, everything that you've got is in the correct order, starting with everything that needs to be at the front, at the top, and then everything that needs to be at the back, at the bottom. Rescale all of these layers because at the moment they are way too big. So we're just going to set the scale, this one to 36, the second video to 15, and then the last one to 23. We're just going to minimize all of these, and we're also going to mute the audio as well. We're also going to fill in this empty space right here because we don't really need any transparent backgrounds. We just want to fill it in with a simple black color. Also going to reposition the person where you want it to be. So we want the person to be on the stage, and there is multiple different ways and multiple different tools that you can use to remove the background. But by far the easiest and most simplest one that I like to use is the lazy way, and that is the mask prompter plugin. To use this, all you need to do is get yourself the shape tool, drag yourself a selection around the subject, and then from here, you want to apply the effect. Set this one to mask 1 on the path. And then if you set it to for the mode on transparent, there we go, the background is gone. We need to select all of these layers and enable the 3D mode right here. If you don't see yours, you may need to switch the modes and you'll see it right here. Go ahead and create ourselves a new and then camera. In the camera options, you have a lot of different advanced options, but the most important two are the type and the preset. The type, the easiest one to work with is the one node camera. There is less keyframes. And for the preset, this is basically the camera lens itself. Anywhere between 28 to 50 is a good number. And we're also going to create ourselves a null object. This is the secret to getting a really nice, smooth flow between each movement in the camera. You need to make sure that you have the 3D mode enabled for this null as well. And then you want to pick whip this onto null 1. We're just going to rename it to fly down. And this will basically allow it to control this camera right here. We're just going to go further out. You want to press P and get yourself the very first position right here. This is going to be the main shot, so we're going to zoom this in to the scene. We're going to move the camera slightly down, zoom it out a little bit more, move it to the left. And right about here, we want the main shot to be. We're also going to go ahead and enable the grid. This will make it easier to see the centerpiece. And at the moment, it's not really a 3D scene. Everything is flat. If we switch the mode to a top view, as you can see, all of our layers right here and all of the images and videos are mashed together into a plane shape. So it's just a 2D image. So to give that 3D effect, we need to start moving the trees. So the tree and the tree stump closer to the camera. So right about here, just move this one a little bit further out and then move the stars behind the scene. We then want to move the second video further back and also the final stage as well. Now these two need to be close together right about here. And then once you've done that, we can now switch over to the custom view. And as you can see, this will give you a 3D view of this workspace. Now, the cool thing about this is that if you press 1, 2, and 3 on your keyboard, you can switch between orbit controls. you can switch between the move control and also the zoom control. And this honestly makes it so much easier because it gives you a really good perspective. So what we need to do is we need to switch this to a 2-view preview. And with the main view right here, we're going to go all the way to the start of the video. And we also want to open up the properties. And as you can see, we also have the orientation, the X, Y, and Z. So basically, these are responsible for the camera itself. And the orientation is the same as the X, Y, and Z, but this one is grouped together with all of them. The first one is the tilt. You can tilt up and down. You can tilt left and right, and then side to side. Same as this one, up and down, left and right, and also the rotation as well. If you're not looking to go too deep into this type of rotation, we can just get ourselves a orientation right here. Going back to the start of the video, we need the camera to fly down into the scene, and then we're going to move on to the second null movement. Now we're just going to make this one go outside of the scene. We're going to slightly make it go to the left. And we're also going to zoom the camera in into the scene. We're going to give it a little bit of a tilt with a slight tilt to the left and also a rotation as well. So if we have a look at this now, you can see we have a nice and simple pan down effect. In order to make the camera movement smoother, we're going to select these 2 keyframes first, and then you want to press F9. This will ease the animation, and if we open up the graph, as you can see, this will smoothen these lines right here. It will go from a linear movement, and it will smoothen it out. We can do the exact same thing with the position, F9, and there we go. This will automatically smoothen out these lines right here. Now, let's say if you wanted to individually edit each one, the only problem with this is that if you try to do it to the position, and let's say you wanted to do the Z, it will automatically apply to all of them at the same time, which is okay, but we want to individually edit each one. And to do this, we can right click on the position, separate dimensions, and there we go. We can now edit each one individually. So for the first one, we don't really need to focus too much on this one. We can just select these 2 points and we can just set in easy ease or a simple curve. This is just for the camera to slowly pan center. However, the most important tool is the Y and Z. So for these two, what we're going to do is we're going to manually change the curve itself. By selecting both of them at the same time, we can enable this, and this will allow us to give us this nice curve onto here. You can also hold Shift, and this will automatically lock it to 90 degrees. And if we set this view to a right view, you can see exactly what this curve will look like. As you can see, we go from a plain and simple straight line to this nice curve onto this path right here. So as you can see, any changes that you apply will affect the size and the shape of this path. We just need this nice curve that will go down. Now that you've done that, we're also going to change the Z as well, because this one is responsible for the zoom. And for this one, we're just going to give this one a nice ramp down. This one, we're going to smoothen it out like this, and then slightly lift this one up. We just want the camera to have a nice curve to it, and then we'll make it zoom in. And if we have a look at this now, we can have a look at a preview. If we switch it back to the normal mode, you can see it's definitely looking a lot smoother, but it's a little bit too quick. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up the keyframes, and then we're just going to drag these ones further out, just to slow it down a little bit. And there we go. That's not looking too bad. It definitely gets really quick at the end, but we can always edit that and fix it later on. However, for now, we're going to tell the camera to fly through this arch bit right here into the new scene. And to do this, we can right click, set this to a new null object. And once again, you want to enable the 3D mode. And for this one, what you want to do is you want to pair the first null onto the second. So it's kind of like a chain. You want it to start on the camera and then work its way through each one together. Now, if you wanted to, you can also enable the motion blur. Now, this will just make it look even better because it will apply some motion as the camera is moving through the scene as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to rename this one to fly through, just so we know which one's which. And for this one, what we're going to do is we're going to press U to open up the keyframes. And for this one, we're going to press P. And the secret is to make this one start before this one ends. You want to go further out just before the video ends right here, and then zoom through this scene. And there we go. Now, as the camera is zooming in, we also want the stars to slowly fade out. And we can make them fade out right about here. What you can do is you can go ahead and have a look at the stars layer. You want to press T, set yourself a keyframe of 100, go all the way near the end, and then set this one to 0. So as you can see, this will now open up to the second scene. We'll also need to correct this one right here. So we're just going to reposition the stage. We can set a 2 view for this one, and then bring this one back into the shot. We can use the side view, which will make it so much easier. And we're also going to reposition the second video because this one is completely out of the frame. So now the person will become visible. Now for this person or the second video, same as last time, we're going to apply the mask prompter plugin, get ourselves a selection right here. Once again, apply it onto here. And there we go. We now have the second person in the scene as well. And as you can see, this will fly through into the second scene, and it will now appear nice and slow. Now, sometimes with the mask prompter plugin, you'll have this problem right here. And the reason why this happens is simply because there is a bug with the mask itself. So the easiest way to fix this is to select the video. You want to open up the mask and set yourself a keyframe for the path. And when it goes out of focus and it becomes distorted, like here, all you got to do is just move this mask. So if you select it, you just want to move it slightly and this will fix it. Now for the second keyframes, we're also going to set this one to an easy ease. And for this one, we don't really need to do much work because the easy ease will automatically make it look smooth. So as you can see, we don't really have the other two positions. We only have the Z. Already, if we have a look at this, you can see the camera will pan down. Now, if you wanted to, you can continue to adjust this one right here, which will go down. And you can either slow it down by dragging it out, or you can edit it in the graph. And you can add yourself another point right here. And what you can do is you can drag this one down to slow it down. So this will smoothen it out a little bit more and have a softer landing rather than really quick. And then finally, for the very last movement for the camera, what we're going to do is we're going to get ourselves a final null. We're going to place this one on top and call this one final null. For this one, what we're going to do is once again, 3D mode, motion blur, and then you want to connect it to this one. What we're going to do is get ourselves the position, open this up and open up the other ones. And just before this final one finishes the zoom, we're just going to make the camera fly into this area right here. So with this one, we're just going to get ourselves a position, and we also want the orientation as well. We want to go further out. We're going to zoom this in, give this one a 90-degree tilt or rotation. This is going to be a little bit confusing, but you just want to place the camera to this area. Right up to here. Once again, we're going to ease the frames, drag this one in, and you can also drag the work area all the way near the end. And if we have a look at this, we have the slow zoom effect, and then the camera will fly into this area. Now for this one, we're just going to drag it out slightly. Move these ones a little bit further out. And we're just going to fix up the position. We're going to separate it once again. And for this one, all we need to do is once again, select the keyframes, and we're just going to set an easy ease. And then finally, we're just going to adjust the video. We want the first video to only start as the camera is panning down. So we want this one to start right about here. We're going to drag this one out, and then this one to the end of this one. And then from here, you can do your finishing touches, such as correcting the person. We can fix up some of the lighting. Some of the effects that I applied onto the person are really simple. The first one is luminar color. This will allow us to correct the lighting. All I did was I used the auto button right here, and then I just slightly changed some of these options to something like minus 0.6, and then the shadows, the black colors. We can apply some contrast. We can also apply some temperature. And then I also applied a unsharpened mask. This will sharpen it back up again if you have a blurry video. I set this one to 60. I also used a key cleaner to clean those edges. You can apply it onto the video. You want to set the alpha contrast to around, let's say, 75, and then around 12 or 15 for the additional edge radius. You can also change some of the options as well in here for the mask prompter. You can enable the HD mode. I think I set this one to 22, and then high quality for the mode as well. And all I did for the shadow is I duplicated this video layer right here. And with the bottom video, I deleted the CC cleaner, the unsharpened mask, and then the luminar color. I then applied a effect called CC slant. You can untick the stretching. You want to set the color to a black color. Set the slant to around, let's say, 94. And then you set the floor with this button right here to this location. You can then apply a Gaussian blur to soften the shadow. Set this one to around, let's say, 40. And then I also changed the opacity as well of this layer to around, let's say, 50%. And then from here, you would apply the exact same effects to the second video, and you would correct the lighting as well and match it to what the scene would look like.